Hello, everyone. Hello to all of you who want to get to know yourself and who are watching these lectures that have the purpose to give you the information and the tools so you get to know yourself and to awaken your consciousness. Today we have the lecture number 21 of the phase A of this self-knowledge course, and we are having this very important topic, which is concentration and relaxation. The objective of today's topic is to learn to develop a power that allows consciousness to manifest in our daily life, because concentration is that, and it will allow us to be successful in anything we undertake, in any of the practices that we are going to develop, like meditation, astral projection, suprasexuality or sexual transmutation, etc. We need to have a good concentration in order to be successful in those practices. So we see that actually concentration is very important, and today we are going to see what is concentration and how we can develop concentration. We are going to see that concentration is something that we must exercise during the whole day to have a real concentration when we are there wanting to achieve or to have a good result in one of our esoteric practices. Also, today we are going to understand what relaxation is and how to apply it, how we can really get to relax ourselves at every moment, because we are going to see that relaxation is actually the natural state of our consciousness. If we are tense, it's because our ego is manifesting. When we manage to be relaxed and to be concentrated, there our consciousness is acting. Then there our consciousness is manifesting. And today we are going to learn a very interesting practice that is known as watch and pray. And this practice is very good to help us to develop our capacity of stay concentrated or to achieve concentration. So let's start immediately with today's topic. Let me check. Okay. And let's start by explaining what concentration is, because in the very word concentration, you can actually see its meaning. The word concentration is showing us that the consciousness is centered in action. And that means that we need to have our consciousness in an alert state so we are concentrated. When we are in concentration, it's because all our attention is focused on that we are doing. We are doing everything in a conscious way. We are aware of everything that we are doing. That is being concentrated. And concentration is a very great power that allows us to be successful in everything that we do. Not doing things concentrated is the cause that we constantly make so many mistakes, that things don't usually turn out the way we want, that we don't have most of the time enough time to fulfill all the things that we want to do, since we are most of the times distracted, and distraction leads us to lose a lot of time. Also, the distraction is the cause of so many accidents, and is also the cause of many times practices do not give the results that we would like, because we, for example, sit there to achieve that state of meditation, but the mind is always talking like a parrot, or we are feeling this, or we are uncomfortable, or we are tense, and we cannot achieve that concentration. Or we are there in our bed doing our practices to achieve the conscious astral projection, and we end up all the time sleeping. And why? Because we don't have the ability to stay concentrated there in the technique that we are using. For example, we are using the technique of the mentalization, and we are there making the mantra, Faraon, for example, we are Faraon, Faraon, and we say like 5 or 6 Faraons, and at the seventh, our concentration is there. I mean, our consciousness is totally asleep, and we are there wandering, thinking this, remembering that, it is thinking the song in our mind, and the astral projection, we forgot about that, and we forgot about the pharaoh, and it's because we don't have the ability to stay concentrated. And if we start like observing all the things that we do during the day, we are going to see that we do them in a mechanical way, because we learn to do things and we forgot to or the need to stay concentrated, to stay focused. So we are acting like mechanically, because when we are doing everything, we are internally somewhere else, not there, not living the action, but thinking about something else. And we do that from the very moment that we wake up. Immediately we wake up, a train of thoughts and a train of emotions begins. Since we open our eyes, we start planning things. We start seeking how to distract ourselves, for example, with the cell phone immediately, and we lose ourselves immediately. And we go and we do everything that we do. We go and we take a bath or we brush our teeth, but we are at the same time in another mental place. And everything that we do, like you see here in this image, everything that we do, we are doing that, we are thinking about something else. We are desiring to be somewhere else. And our consciousness is asleep due to the lack of use, because we don't use our consciousness during the day. We don't let our consciousness manifest as we do things asleep. Even though we think that we are awake, that we are not sleeping, we are. Because we are dreaming the dreams of our minds. We are dreaming the dreams of our emotions. And remember that the astral plane, which is the fifth dimension, well, the fifth dimension has the astral plane and the mental plane. Those are like the two parts of the fifth dimension. And that dimension is inside of us, there, in the astral and the mental centers. I mean, in the emotional and the mental centers. So if during the day we are there sleeping, we are doing things mechanically, and we are distracted with our mind, with all of our thoughts, and we are distracted with everything that we feel, and we don't do the work to stay here, live in the present moment, in the here and now, we are dreaming, our consciousness is not manifesting. The same, we go to sleep and we continue doing the same thing. We go there to the fifth dimension to project all the things that our mind wants to project, and all those repressed desires, we go there and we project them, and we continue there dreaming. That is the reason why we are never able to make ourselves aware of being in a dream when we are dreaming, because we are dreaming the whole day, and the same we are doing during the day. So we need to start observing that. We need to start to realize that we are distracted the whole day. Even though we are there like fully in full attention doing something, we are not concentrated, because we learn to do something and immediately we learn to do it, we are like a machine. Our body is there doing that, but our mind is somewhere else, in another time, in another place, not living the here and now, not living the present moment. And for that reason, our consciousness is never manifesting in us. So we need to start studying all of our distractions, all of the things that keep us in this all the time distracted, to get to achieve concentration. We are so used to be distracted, and concentration actually seems like boring to us. And this is because our own ego hates concentration, Because in concentration, in the present moment, the ego dies. In the present moment, only consciousness is expressed. So we need to, as I was saying, study all the ways in which we tend to distract ourselves so we learn to stay concentrated. So if we observe every detail that takes us out of the present moment, and we start eliminating every one of those desires, we will undoubtedly remain in constant concentration. And that process of being eliminating all those psychological defects that all the time try to distract us, from there we are going to be rescuing a lot of consciousness, and that consciousness is going to be manifesting itself each time more because our consciousness is growing up. And we need to know that sometimes we believe that we are concentrated. And for example, like this example that you are seeing here, the guy is there holding a cup of coffee, for example, and he can think that he is there concentrated, but actually no, because he is there remembering what he need, the report that he needs to do, or he is there like feeling anguish because of this, or he is there feeling a lot of sensations in his body, or he's so tense because he's worried, or at the same time he's feeling sad, and all of that doesn't allow him to be concentrated. To be really concentrated on something, we must be alert. We must be aware of ourselves, feeling that we are inside of our body, not there like involved in the action, but feeling our heart, our life. And from there, from that full awareness of ourselves, then we can perform the action in a concentrated way without the participation of the ego. But for that, we need to be eliminating, remember with the psychological death, everything that manifests. For example, I am there holding my cup of coffee, and comes a thought, whatever, to start remembering, oh, that thing. Divine Mother, eliminate that. We are going to be eliminating, with the help of that part of our consciousness, everything that manifests in anguish. I eliminate that. Divine Mother, eliminate that. And I remember to my state of self-awareness, feeling the life in my body, feeling that I'm there living the moment. I start like feeling that hurry. Okay, I'm getting late. Divine Mother, eliminate that. And I'm going to end to take my cup of coffee in that state of concentration, and then I'm going to move to do the next thing in that state of concentration, being in self-observation, eliminating everything that wants to manifest in me, so the consciousness can express, can there. That way, we are going to be living in a total relaxation and concentration, and we are going to save a lot of energy, and we are going to, at the same time, be rescuing a lot of consciousness from every defect that we get to discover with the self-observation and to eliminate. And well, how to achieve concentration? That is very interesting, because we need to understand that to achieve concentrations, the first thing is to make conscious efforts to be in that self-observation state all the time, and start like making a effort to be like there, feeling ourselves, feeling the life that is there, like latent. It's like feeling our heart. And as we become more and more present, more in the here and now, we will develop the ability to constantly feel the beating of our heart. Because our heart is like our home. It is where we return every time that a psychological defect comes and takes me out of the present moment. when I get to wake up, I get to observe that I am there dreaming. I make myself aware of what is the defect that is taking me out, I eliminate that, and I return to where? To my heart, to my home, to here, to live inside of me. So that is the first step, being in self-observation, concentrated in our heart, and holding a single thought. Because we need to start learning to do thing by thing. So we are holding only one thought. What thought? What I'm doing. And I am going to make that all of my centers keep working in unison. That my emotion is there participating. That my mind is there participating. That my motor centers, my actions are there participating. And then my instinctive center will enter, and then my superior emotional center is working there, and my sexual center will enter and start to create, and I am going to be successful in everything that I do if I manage to keep all of my centers working in unison there. And how we do so? By not letting our psychological defects to come to manifest in any of these centers, taking us out of our state of concentration. For example, you are cooking something, let's say, and that you are going to make the effort to be there concentrated, holding only one thought. What thought? That you are cooking, that you are doing. You are focusing your attention there, living inside of you. If something comes, and for example, you remember that you forgot to pay the bill yesterday. That is a thought, yeah? But immediately that thought is going to move also in your emotion. So you are there cooking, right? But your mind is not there. You are not thinking in yesterday that you forgot to pay the bill and now you're late. And then you're going to the future thinking that you're going to start receiving calls about that and blah, blah, blah. And your emotion is also there, feeling anguish, feeling worry, feeling a lot of stuff. And you lost all your concentration even though you keep there cooking. So what you're gonna do? You can hear that thought, or you can see that thought, because sometimes you can hear the thoughts and sometimes you can even see them, and you are going to immediately eliminate that, and you are going to stay there. If it moves through your emotion, you eliminate that and you keep there doing what you are doing. You are there and your consciousness is manifesting, cooking that you are doing. And that is, if you practice that, and if you eliminate all of that is trying to take you out of the present moment, that is going to be the best recipe that you ever prepare, because your consciousness is there preparing that recipe. So that is like the key. And if later on you need to take a time to resolve that situation, to pay for that bill or whatever, that is something that you are gonna do in a proper time. But what we tend to do, that we think that we are, that is like conscious or is like smart, do a lot of things at the same time. So you are there cooking and you leave everything there and you go to the cell phone to pay for the bill and stuff, and when you return the things are burning. Why? Because you are not focused, because you are trying to do a lot of things at the same time, and that is distraction. And as we do this work of learning to be concentrated in everything that we do, we discover how to enjoy, because we really don't know right now, being present, being focused, and with present awareness directing every of our actions. We are going to start really enjoying that concentration that we are going to start achieving. Something that we need to know is that there are two types of concentrations, one in our inner world and the other one in the outer world. And the two are very important. And this means that just as we develop concentration on the outside world, on the everything that we do to do them concentrated. Likewise, it is very important to develop concentration to be successful in our esoteric practices. So one like comes with the other. If you practice concentration during the day, you are going to end up concentrating yourself in the practices that you are doing. So what are the things to take into consideration to practice concentration? Well, the first, do one thing at a time. We need to make an effort. Sometimes we can't because we are at work and we are doing this and the boss says that now you need to do that, and not always you are going to be able to do one thing at a time. But the thing is that you start like understanding the importance of doing one thing at a time. That you are doing this and then later you go and you do the other thing, and later you go and do the other thing, because that way you can make yourself sure that you are totally focused on what you are doing. And while you are doing this thing, you are not going to be thinking of anything else. Anything that comes to your mind, you're going to be eliminating that. You are not going to be interrupting one thing to do another. That is a common mistake that we do. We are doing something, and now, for example, we receive a notification in the cell phone, and immediately we go and we lose our attention. We interrupt what we are doing to do another thing. And we tend to do that like so much, and it is a huge mistake that we make. Another thing to take into consideration is not going to the past and not going to the future. It's staying in the present moment. So don't think about the things that you have to do later while you are doing this, and not remembering things that you have already done, because that is taking you out of the concentration. So the key is to stay focused. And that is something that is really helpful for us to learn to do one thing at a time, and is making a schedule of activities. That helps us a lot to do the different activities of our daily life in a concentrated way, and it is actually highly recommended that we take a few minutes in the morning or a few minutes at night to make an activity schedule with the different activities that we have to do during the day, and the order in which we are going to do them. That will help us a lot not to have to be planning or thinking about what we have to do later, because we already have that order and we can focus on each action at each time. And we will also see that if we have like an order, the time will be enough for us to make more things, because most of the time we lose a lot of things in these planning things and things don't know what to do next, etc. And it is important, of course, that in this schedule of activities we put the esoteric practices that we are going to do during the day. It's important that we put them in the first place. That if, for example, we are going to make our meditation at some time, that we put that time there. That we are going to practice, for example, today we are going to learn the watch and pray practice. Okay, I'm going to make my watch and pray practice. I'm going to take this time. And if we do put the times for our esoteric practices, we make sure that we are going to do them, because most of the time the things of the personality takes our whole schedule, and we end up the day without doing the practices that will allow us to awaken our consciousness. So that is like a recommendation that for me is like very important. And if we do this work, we are going to see how we are going to start being successful in our practices. If we manage to be concentrated the whole day, it is like 90% the possibility that you are going to have a conscious astral projection. Why? Because you are not dreaming anymore during the day, and the same will happen to you during the night. As you are there, living the present moment, being aware of yourself, you are going to be like so conscious, so aware of yourself, of what you are doing, of your whole life, and of every activity that you are doing, that when you go to sleep, you are not going to be there wandering and moving from your mother's house to the beach. And I just fall asleep and I find myself in Africa, and how that happened, I don't know. But at that moment, as you have practiced the concentration during the day, when you do your practice for conscious astral projection, you have already like the practice. You have already exercised that capacity of being concentrated. So you are going to be there, and you are going to make, for example, your mantra, and you are going to be able to say your mantras once and two and three and four and 10 times, and you start feeling like these symptoms of unfolding. And as you are there concentrated, you are going to be able to move to the astral plane in a conscious way. And even though your physical body fall asleep and your consciousness went to dream, as you practice the whole day being concentrated, when you find something that is like out of your of normal, you are going to have like enough consciousness to say, wait, this is like unreal, this has to be a dream. And there you check, you, for example, stretch your finger and you find yourself conscious in the astral plane, because you see that your finger stretches and you see, oh my god, yes, I am in the astral. And when you do that, the most possible thing is that you return to your body, but you are unfolded. So you go again and stand up, and you, for example, jump, and you are going to remain floating because you are in the astral plane. Those are the things, some of the things that we can get to achieve if we practice and if we exercise our concentration. If we manage to be concentrated, we sit there to make a meditation and we are successful in our meditation. We are going to make any practice and we are going to be successful because we are already exercising our concentration during the whole day. And I think that the most important part is that for being concentrated, you need to be, yes or yes, eliminating all the psychological defects that take you out of your concentration state. And that way, you're going to be setting free huge amounts of consciousness during the whole day. So that is going to be like very good for your internal advance. And well, that is all in relation to concentration. Now I want to talk a little about the relaxation. We need to know that relaxation is no tension. A relaxation is like the opposite to tension. And the natural state of our consciousness is relaxation. Consciousness is actually a state of more and more relaxation each time. For this reason, the ego always seeks to stress us, because only in a state of tension, be it a physical tension, be it an emotional tension, be it a mental tension, only in that state the ego can remain in the human machine, feeding on our energy. And we need to start like observing what are the things that produce tension. For example, when we have a desire, whatever the desire is, it is going to make us tense. We feel the desire to yell. We need to desire to cry. We have the desire to smoke, and we feel that anxiety immediately. We feel the desire to whatever. When you observe the desire manifesting, you are going to see that you are going to start like feeling the tension, because the desire is our ego. and it's your psychological defects that make you feel the desire, so you go and you start feeding them. And all the negative emotions that we feel make us tense. All the psychological songs that all those resentments that we keep in our minds, and that we are all the time there repeating the same psychological songs as we studied in the lecture 18, that make us a lot of tension, give us a lot of tension. The thoughts, all the time our mind is like they're talking and talking, and we start feeling that tension because we don't have mental silence. When we feel any concern, when our different psychological defects are there like fighting one with the other, because I want to do that, but I'm in that indecision. I want to do that and that, or I don't know if doing this or that, and that way we are tense all the time. So we need to start like observing what are the things that all the time keep us tense, and start like reflecting, what do I achieve by worrying all day about a problem? For example, what do I achieve? Being all the time in that state of stress, of anguish, of anxiety that makes me ill, and all the time I'm like damaging my own body by keeping myself in all that tension state. So, what do we need to do? We have a problem. What do? We set a time to solve the problem. We say, okay, I need to solve this, but I'm not going to let that this situation takes keeps me the whole day worrying about that, being tense, draining a lot of energy from me. No, I'm going to set this time. I'm going to sit and I'm going to solve, or see what I'm going to do to solve that situation from 7 to 8. When I arrive home from work, for example, I'm going to take this time and I'm going to solve that situation. Now, I don't need to think about that again during the day until that moment. And if at any moment that situation wants to come again to my mind, I eliminate it. If it makes me feel something, I eliminate it. And I am there living in peace, in total relaxation. And I can be concentrated in what I'm doing. And when that time comes, then I go and I sit with my consciousness to solve that situation. And if I manage to find how I'm going to solve that, then I don't need to think in that again until the moment in when I'm going to perform that action that is going to solve that comes, right? And all the time I'm going to be here eliminating everything. And if we do so, we are letting our consciousness to manifest, and our consciousness, which is total wisdom, is going to help us a lot to resolve any situation that we have. Because as we are staying in the present moment and we are eliminating psychological defects, we are rescuing those essences, and we are making our consciousness capacity to grow. So when we sit to solve a problem, that's like turns on, and we find with more ease the solution to that situation. So, what is the process for us to relax? A process that we must be like carrying out the whole day. Well, it's the same process as the concentration. Is first self-observation, because with that you are going to identify what is the defect that is causing you the tension. And the next time is to send that defect to the prosecution. So you're going to understand how this defect is there unnecessarily draining your energy. For example, you self-observe and you find that you are tense. But what is the psychological defect that is there making you feel that tension? It's the anxiety. Actually, I'm feeling that anxiety and even biting my nails. And okay, this is a psychological defect. The prosecution is to understand that this anxiety is only there draining all of my energy, making me sick, is there like torturing me. So what is the next step? Elimination. And this is done, by asking our Divine Mother, like this, my mother, eliminate that defect. Mentally, you say that. That is like magical because you are there asking to that powerful part of your consciousness to set you free from that conditioning, to set you free from that psychological defect. So you are going to get to know that the power is in you, that everything that you need to set yourself free is in you. Is in if you start like making these parts of your consciousness to enter in action, you are going to see the magic happening. Well, allow me just a second. Well, and that is, that is, and we ask for death to that psychological defect that is making us tense, and we release that area. And we must remember that it is necessary to get to understand why we are tense for the Divine Mother to act. Because if, for example, I'm feeling a tension here, and I'm feeling that stress, and I only say, Divine Mother, eliminate that tension, but I don't know what is the defect that is making me tense. That is, I don't know, maybe a sadness. I am carrying a sadness, and if I don't get to understand that what is making me so tense is sadness, then I'm not going to be able to eliminate it. But when we know, okay, it's sadness, I eliminate that. Why I'm feeling sadness? Oh, I'm feeling sadness because I still remember that and that. I go there and I eliminate all of that, and that way I'm going to free myself and I'm going to be able to relax. And how do we know that we are already relaxed? Well, relaxation happens when all tensions have disappeared and our psychology has normalized. We feel good. We can return to feel ourselves, to feel, we can return to our home, to be there living in peace, and we can return to focus on what we are doing. There we know that we are already relaxed. And well, as I was saying, today I'm going to teach you a practice that is going to allow you to develop that, exercise your ability to concentrate and also to relax. And this practice is known as watching and praying, or watch and pray. And this practice is related to that teaching of Master Jesus that says, watch and pray, you remember. And what is to watch? To watch is doing things awake, in that state of wakefulness and in concentration. And what is to pray? To pray is to beg our Divine Mother to eliminate the defect that doesn't allow us to concentrate. That is watching and praying, and you see that is what this lecture is about. So what are the steps of this practice? Well, first you are going to sit and you are going to set, 20 minutes for this practice, for example. Or if you have to wait in, let's say you're waiting for the dentist for saying something, and you need to be there waiting like 15 minutes. Okay, you take that time and you make this practice. Or you are going in a bus and you're going to be sit there 30 minutes. Okay, there you take that time and you, instead of being there dreaming or being lost in the cell phone, you best do this practice that will help you to exercise your concentration and to liberate a lot of consciousness. So what you're gonna do first, well, the conjuration of the belly link and the magic circle that we learned in the lecture number 7. And then you're going to ask assistance to your inner father and your divine mother. You can do that, all of that mentally. And you are going to make like a quick relaxation, observing that your whole body is like comfortable, and any tension that you feel, remember that you ask for death for that you are feeling. And you are going to focus on your heart with your eyes closed. You there, focused on your heart, to observe your inner world, and to each detail of the ego that want to come and manifest, you are going to beg your divine mother to disintegrate it. So you are going to be there concentrated in your heart for those 15-20 minutes that you are going to do this practice, and you are going to be watching what? Watching for any defect that wants to manifest. You are not going to let any thought, any emotion, any sensation, anything to come and to distract you from that beautiful moment in which you are just watching your heart and experiencing your whole inner world. If the mind starts saying something, immediately you pray, Divine Mother, eliminate that defect. If you're feeling an itching here, that is also your ego trying to distract you. Divine Mother, eliminate that itching. And you're feeling like, oh, the anxiety, oh my God, or for being there, you're not like used to be concentrated, and you start feeling the anxiety, the impatience. The Divine Mother, eliminate this impatience. And there you're doing like this exercise and this beautiful practice of being there for that moment, just like living the present moment, just like watching to your home, living there in your home for those 15 minutes. And if you do this practice daily, you are going to be gaining a great capacity to be concentrated, because we are so used to be distracted the whole day. And if you start practicing the concentration, you are going to be better each time with this practice, because you are going to find out that the first practices is going to be hard for you to stay like present. Most of the time you are going to remember when you are remember yourself when you have like 2 minutes there dreaming, or even 5 minutes there dreaming, and then you are going to remember, oh yes, that I'm doing the practice here. I'm here. And then you come, eliminate that, and you come back. But you are going to be practicing it until perfect concentration is achieved. Until you can go and sit and do the practice, and you don't let anything to take you out of this watching time, watching and praying time that you are giving you. And well, that is the practice that I wanted to give you today. And that is the lecture about concentration and relaxation. I hope that this is somehow helpful for you. I hope that you put this information into practice so that you can start to experience what is that of being concentrated, which is like letting our consciousness to manifest. And well, to finish, as always, I want to invite you to our next lecture. Next Wednesday, we will be talking about meditation. And that is like a very important lecture, because we are going to see a type of meditation that is known as reflective meditation. It is the one that is the meditation that is going to help us to achieve a radical, total, and definitive change in ourselves. So don't miss that lecture next Wednesday at the same time in the same page. So thank you very much, as always, to all of you who watched the video. And well, see you in the next time. Ciao, ciao. Have a good rest of the night. Bye-bye.